What would you do if someone tried to destroy your dignity in front of everyone you know? Before we dive into this incredible story, please hit that like button, share this with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe so you never miss our stories. Also, drop a comment telling us where you're watching from, because we absolutely love hearing from you all around the world. Maya wiped down the counter for the third time that morning. The cloth moved in slow circles across the already spotless surface. She had been working at Ruby's Diner in downtown Manhattan for 2 years now. Every morning at 6, she tied her apron, pinned her name tag to her crisp white uniform, and stepped onto the black and white checkered floor ready to serve. At 27 years old, Maya had learned to carry herself with quiet strength. Her grandmother once told her that dignity was something nobody could take from you unless you gave it away. Maya held on to those words like a shield. The diner was always busy. Trucks rumbled past the windows. Taxi horns blared. Inside, the coffee machine hissed and gurgled while the smell of bacon and eggs filled the air. Maya loved the rhythm of it all. She knew her regulars by name and knew exactly how they liked their coffee. Tuesdays started like any other day. The morning rush had died down. Only a few tables were occupied. An elderly couple shared pancakes in the corner booth. A young woman typed frantically on her laptop near the window. A construction worker gulped down his third cup of coffee at the counter. Maya was refilling the sugar dispensers when the door swung open. A man walked in wearing a navy blue suit that probably cost more than Maya made in 3 months. His shoes gleamed. His watch caught the light and sparkled. Everything about him screamed money and power. He didn't wait to be seated. He just walked to a booth near the center of the diner and sat down hard. Maya grabbed a menu and a glass of water. She approached with a smile. Her grandmother's voice echoed in her mind. Treat everyone with respect, baby, even when they don't deserve it. That's what makes you better. Good morning, sir. Welcome to Ruby's. Can I start you off with some coffee? Maya's voice was warm and professional. The man didn't look up. He was scrolling through his phone. His fingers moved fast and angry across the screen. Maya waited. She had learned patience in this job. After what felt like forever, he glanced up. His eyes were cold and sharp like broken glass. Coffee. Black. And make it hot this time. Last place I went to serve me lukewarm garbage. His voice was rough and dismissive. Maya nodded and turned toward the coffee station. She poured carefully, making sure the steam rose from a cup just right. When she returned and placed it in front of him, he didn't say thank you. He just grabbed the cup and took a sip. Then his face twisted. What is this? He barked. His voice was loud enough that other customers turned to look. Maya's heart began to beat faster, but her face stayed calm. That's our house blend, sir. Freshly brewed about 10 minutes ago. She kept her tone steady. The man slammed the cup down. Coffee sloshed onto the saucer. This tastes like dirty water. Don't they train you people properly? The words hung in the air. You people. Maya felt the sting, but didn't flinch. The elderly couple stopped eating. The young woman looked up from her laptop. Even the construction worker at the counter turned around. I apologize, sir. I can brew a fresh pod if you'd like. Maya reached for the cup, but the man pulled it back. You know what your problem is? He leaned back and crossed his arms. Your kind thinks you can just coast through life doing the bare minimum. No pride in your work. No standards. That's why you're stuck in places like this. His words were poison. They were meant to cut. Maya's hands trembled slightly, but she kept them at her sides. She had dealt with difficult customers before. Rude comments. Impatient attitudes. But this was different. This was deliberate cruelty. Sir, I take pride in my work. If there's something wrong with your order, I'm happy to fix it. Her voice was still calm, but there was steel underneath now. The man laughed. It was a harsh, mocking sound. Pride? You're a waitress. You bring food and clean up after people. Don't act like you're doing something important. He looked around the diner as if inviting others to join his mockery. But nobody laughed. The room had gone quiet. Even the sizzle from the kitchen seemed muted. Maya felt every eye on her. This was the moment where she could walk away. where she could swallow the insult and move on like she had done 100 times before. But something was different today. Maybe it was the way he said "you people." Maybe it was the cruelty in his smile. Maybe it was simply that she was tired of shrinking herself to make cruel people comfortable. "Sir, I'm going to ask you once to speak to me with respect. I'm here to serve you, but I'm not here to be disrespected." Her voice carried across the diner now, clear and strong. The man's eyes widened slightly. Then they narrowed with rage. "Respect? You're demanding respect from me? Do you know who I am?" "Retry, Jay." Maya stood perfectly still. Her heart hammered against her ribs, but her face showed nothing. The man pushed his chair back and stood up. He was tall, maybe 6 feet, and he used every inch of that height to try to intimidate her. His face had turned red, and a vein pulsed at his temple. "I'm Marcus Sterling. I own half the buildings on this block. I have lunch with senators and CEOs. And you think you can talk to me like that?" He stepped closer. Maya could smell his expensive cologne mixed with anger. "I could buy this pathetic little diner and shut it down tomorrow just for fun. I could make sure you never work in this city again." The construction worker at the counter started to stand up, but Maya caught his eye and gave a tiny shake of her head. She didn't need rescuing. Not yet. The elderly man in the corner booth pulled out his phone. The young woman with the laptop was already recording. Nobody in that diner was going to let this moment disappear into silence. "Mr. Sterling," Maya said, and her voice was steady as a drum beat, "money doesn't give you the right to treat people like they're beneath you. I don't care how many buildings you own or who you have lunch with. In this diner, everyone gets treated the same, and everyone is expected to show basic human decency." Marcus Sterling's mouth fell open. For a second, he looked genuinely shocked that she had dared to speak to him that way. Then his shock melted into pure rage. He grabbed his coffee cup and threw it. The cup shattered against the wall behind Maya. Hot coffee splashed across the floor. Glass scattered everywhere. The elderly woman gasped. The construction worker jumped to his feet, but Maya didn't move. She stood in the same spot, eyes locked on Marcus Sterling. "You just assaulted me," she said quietly, "in front of all these witnesses." Marcus laughed again, but this time it sounded nervous. "Assaulted you?" I threw a coffee cup. "Stop being dramatic. This is exactly what I'm talking about. You people always play the victim, always looking for something to complain about." He turned to address the other customers like he was giving a speech. "You all saw it. She was rude to me. She gave me terrible service. I have every right to complain." But nobody nodded. Nobody agreed. The construction worker crossed his arms. The elderly man held his phone higher, making sure Marcus could see he was recording. The young woman's fingers flew across her laptop keyboard. Maya took a slow breath. Her grandmother's voice came back to her. "Baby, there comes a time when staying quiet becomes more dangerous than speaking up. When that time comes, you'll know, and you'll be ready." This was that time. Maya looked at Marcus Sterling, and something shifted inside her. She wasn't afraid anymore. She wasn't angry either. She was simply done. Done with shrinking. Done with accepting cruelty as normal. Done with letting people like him win. "Mr. Sterling, I'm going to give you one chance to apologize and leave peacefully." Her voice was calm, but it carried weight. Marcus stared at her like she had grown a second head. "Apologize? To you?" He laughed and stepped even closer. Now he was right in her space, trying to use his size to scare her. "I don't apologize for the help. You're lucky I don't have you arrested for your attitude. You should be grateful you even have this job. Without places like this, what would someone like you even do?" The words hung in the air like smoke. "Someone like you." Maya heard her grandmother's voice one more time. "Stand tall, baby. You're worth more than you think." And then Maya moved. It happened so fast that later, people would argue about exactly what they saw. In one smooth motion, Maya's leg swept up. Her foot connected solidly with Marcus Sterling's jaw. The sound echoed through the diner like a thunderclap. Marcus's head snapped back. His arms flailed. His expensive shoes lost their grip on the floor. He flew backward and crashed into the booth behind him. The table shook. Plates rattled. Marcus Sterling, owner of half the buildings on the block, lunch companion to senators and CEOs, lay sprawled across a diner booth with his mouth hanging open and shock written all over his face. The diner went completely silent. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Maya stood in the exact same spot, her foot back on the ground, her uniform still perfectly neat, her expression calm. 5 seconds passed. Then 10. Then someone started clapping. It was a construction worker. Then the elderly man joined in. Then the young woman. Within moments, the entire diner erupted in applause. People whistled and cheered. The cook came out from the kitchen, wiping his hands on his apron, with a huge grin on his face. Marcus Sterling struggled to sit up. His hand went to his jaw. His eyes were wild with disbelief and rage. "You kicked me. You assaulted me. I'm calling the police. I'm suing you. I'm suing this whole place." He fumbled for his phone, but his hands were shaking too badly. Maya watched him calmly. "Go ahead and call them, Mr. Sterling. I'm sure they'll be very interested in the videos that are already being uploaded to social media right now." She gestured to the young woman with the laptop, who held up her phone, showing a live stream. The view counter was climbing rapidly. Comments flooded in. The elderly man showed his phone, too. He had sent his video to his daughter, who worked at a local news station. Marcus's face went from red to white. "You can't do this. Do you know what I can do to you? I will destroy you." But his voice had lost its power. He sounded scared now, desperate. The door to the diner opened and a woman walked in. She was dressed in a sharp gray suit with her hair pulled back in a tight bun. She carried a briefcase and her heels clicked against the floor. She looked at the scene, at Marcus sprawling in the booth, at Maya standing tall, at all the phones pointed in their direction. Then she sighed. "Marcus, get up." Her voice was cold and professional. Marcus looked at her, and his face somehow went even paler. "Elena, thank God you're here. This woman attacked me. I want her arrested. I want." Elena held up her hand, and Marcus stopped talking. "Marcus, be quiet." Elena turned to Maya. "I'm Elena Voss. I'm Mr. Sterling's executive assistant. Or rather, I was..." She opened her briefcase and pulled out a tablet. "I've been following this situation for the last 10 minutes. The live stream has over 50,000 views already. The hashtag #StandTallMaya is trending in New York, and the board of directors has been calling me nonstop for the last 5 minutes." Marcus tried to stand, but his legs were shaky. "Elena, you work for me. Fix this. Make it go away." Elena looked at him with something close to pity. "I don't work for you anymore, Marcus. Nobody does. The board held an emergency video call 3 minutes ago. You've been removed as CEO effective immediately." The diner went silent again. Marcus's mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. "They can't do that. I built that company. I own..." Elena shook her head. "You own 30%. The other shareholders own 70%. And they've decided that your behavior, not just today but over the years, is a liability they can no longer afford. This isn't the first complaint about you, Marcus. It's just the first one that went viral." She tapped her tablet and turned it so everyone could see. News articles were already being written. Social media posts multiplied by the second. Video clips of Marcus yelling, of the coffee cup being thrown, of Maya's incredible kick, played on loop across multiple platforms. Maya felt dizzy. This had escalated so far beyond what she expected. She had just wanted him to stop, to see her as human. She never imagined it would lead to this. Elena walked over to Maya and extended her hand. "Miss Maya, I apologize on behalf of Sterling Enterprises. What you experienced today was unacceptable. Mr. Sterling has a long history of treating service workers, particularly women and people of color, with contempt. Many of us have filed internal complaints, but nothing ever happened because he was the CEO." Maya shook Elena's hand slowly. Her mind was racing. "I just wanted him to stop," Maya said quietly. Elena nodded. "I know, and you did what you had to do to protect yourself. That was self-defense. He threw something at you. He invaded your space. You had every right to defend yourself." Elena glanced back at Marcus, who was now sitting with his head in his hands. The board has asked me to serve as interim CEO while they search for permanent leadership. One of my first acts will be establishing a community outreach and equity program. We need someone to lead it. Someone who understands what it's like to be dismissed and undervalued. Someone with courage and integrity. Maya's eyes widened. Are you offering me a job? Elena smiled. It was the first genuine smile anyone had seen from her. I'm offering you a leadership position. Director of Community Equity and Outreach. You'd help develop policies to ensure our company treats everyone with dignity. You'd work with community organizations. You'd train our staff on inclusive practices. You'd mentor young people entering the workforce. And you'd make sure that what happened to you today never happens to anyone else in any business we're associated with. Maya couldn't speak. Her throat was tight with emotion. The construction workers started clapping again. Soon the whole diner joined in. Maya felt tears prick her eyes, but she blinked them away. I don't have a college degree, Maya said. I've been a waitress for years. I don't know if I'm qualified. Elena squeezed her shoulder gently. You're more qualified than anyone I know. You have something that can't be taught in school. You have dignity. You have courage. And you have the lived experience to understand what needs to change. That's what we need. Maya looked around the diner. At Ruby behind the counter, giving her a thumbs up. At the regular customers who had supported her. At the evidence of her own strength scattered across the floor in broken glass and spilled coffee. She thought about her grandmother, who had cleaned houses her whole life and never complained, who had taught Maya to stand tall no matter what. Who would have been so proud of this moment? When do I start? Maya asked. Elena grinned. How about Monday? 2 police officers walked into the diner. They had received multiple calls about a disturbance. But when they arrived, they found something unexpected. They found a crowd of people protecting a young woman who had defended herself. They found videos from multiple angles showing exactly what happened. They found a disgraced CEO with no power left. And they found a story that would be told for years to come. Marcus Sterling was escorted out of the diner. He tried to make threats. He tried to assert authority he no longer had. But his voice just echoed emptily down the street. Maya watched him go and felt nothing. No anger. No satisfaction. Just relief that it was over. 3 months later, Maya sat in an office on the 23rd floor of a building Marcus Sterling used to own. Her name was on the door. Director of Community Equity and Outreach. She had spent the last 12 weeks developing programs, meeting with community leaders and training staff. She had created a hotline for workers to report mistreatment. She had established partnerships with schools in underserved neighborhoods. She had built something real and lasting. But every Friday afternoon, Maya went back to Ruby's diner. She put on an apron and worked a shift. She served coffee and took orders and chatted with regulars. Because she never wanted to forget where she came from. She never wanted to lose touch with the people who supported her. And she wanted every young server in that diner to know that they were valuable, that they deserved respect, that they had power even when the world told them they didn't. The story of what happened that day spread far beyond New York. It became a symbol, a reminder that ordinary people doing ordinary jobs have extraordinary worth, that standing up for yourself isn't just brave, it's necessary. That one moment of courage can change everything. Maya's grandmother had been right all along. Dignity was something nobody could take from you unless you gave it away. And Maya had never given hers away. Not for a second. She had stood tall. She had affirmed her worth. And in doing so, she had shown thousands of others that they could do the same. Stand tall. You're worth more than you think. Those words became Maya's mantra. She said them to every young person she mentored. She said them to herself on hard days. And she hoped that somewhere, somehow, her grandmother was smiling down at her, proud of the woman she had become. If this story inspired you, please hit that like button and share it with someone who needs to hear this message today. Subscribe to our channel so you never miss stories of courage and transformation. And don't forget to comment below telling us where you're watching from, because your support means everything to us. Thank you for being part of this community.